LGBT clients really have been the stepchildren of the legal system in so many ways. Of course, the system is changing now. There's marriage in several states. If somebody told me 22 years ago that that would happen, I would have just thought they were on some substance that was giving them very pleasant hallucinations. So there have been tremendous strides, but there are still so many states in this country where there's no recognition. So collaborative practice enables people to avoid some of the harsh outcomes that they would have in court. Things such as two people who have parented a child or children from birth and one of them being completely deprived of any access to the child. I think there's probably no greater tragedy than that. So if people enter a collaborative process, we can have a child specialist help them understand the best interest of their child is at stake, help them understand attachment theory. What is it like for a child to lose one of their primary attachment figures? What repercussions will it have with this child from now and throughout their life? If we can have people have that conversation before they get the counseling from a lawyer who just says, you can win, you can do whatever you want, you have all the power. If we can engage people in that dialogue early on, we can avoid some of the terrible tragedies we're seeing. And it's not just in the parenting area, with property as well. You could have a situation where, for whatever reason, maybe one person in a couple had better credit, so the mortgage and the house are in that person's name. And in so many states, title is everything. So whoever holds title to the property is going to walk away with the property. That could be 20 years of living and working together and building up these assets. And yes, there's sometimes you can bring a case on some theories like constructive trust or other theories, but those are very, very difficult cases to prove. And then there are other issues such as gay and lesbian couples cannot share their retirement accounts because in the United States, under federal law, of course, you can only make a transfer when it's as a result of a divorce. So how can, if people really want to honor their relationship and share those assets in a reasonable way, how can we honor that intent and come up with really creative solutions? So those are some examples, and it's really important to have very competent financial professionals help us figure this out, because the tax consequences are very, very different. Between spouses, property can be transferred freely back and forth, absolutely no tax consequences. We're dealing with the same-sex couple, whether they married or not in their state, on the federal level, that's not seen as a spousal transfer. So you have to deal with gift tax and filing gift tax returns and worrying about gift tax limits. So there are all sorts of really complicated things that you encounter with this carefully. You can avoid the winner-takes-all scenario, and you can also come up with a really creative solution. And what I find is often important to gay and lesbian couples is honoring their relationship, because they're often surrounded by family, unfortunately, who do not honor their relationship and are frankly delighted when they break up. And then you might hear from the mother or the father, it's a woman, oh, maybe now you'll find a nice man and settle down. And just that total denial of who they are and failure to recognize their relationship. And that people can really resist that and say, no, we were a couple, in our hearts we were married for 20 years, and I want to come up with a solution that honors that. And in collaborative practice, we can give people the opportunity to do that, rather than getting sucked into a system that makes that impossible or very difficult to do. I've also started expanding into the civil practice area in my area. One of my colleagues, Chuck Gutman, and I had a civil case which was in some ways also a family case. It's two brothers owning a business together. And they were at the point where they weren't speaking to each other. The atmosphere in the workplace was toxic. All the other employees were being affected. And I had been representing the business for some time. And the one brother got disgruntled and luckily went to a collaborative colleague who then called me up and said, let's do this as a collaborative case. So what we were able to do here is, with the assistance of a very skilled financial professional, we worked out a buy-sell agreement for them. We worked out how they would, in this buy-sell agreement, also a shareholders agreement, how they were going to manage the business. We had to deal with a lot of the issues that came from probably when they were 5 and 2, that the older brother just doing whatever he wanted to do and not consulting the younger brother, the older brother being resentful that the younger brother wasn't pulling his weight in the course of running the business. And I just spoke to the older brother again maybe 2 weeks ago. We settled this case about a year ago, and everything's going great. Their relationship has improved. All the employees are happy because now the workplace is a pleasant place to be. And they saved their business from not only the trauma, but the incredible expense of having litigation between these two shareholders. And we worked out a really creative shareholders agreement where the younger brother was able to acknowledge that the older brother was doing the bulk of the management and should get a higher percentage of the profits when they sold. But we were also able to be more explicit about what the expectations were for the younger brother, so that he knew what was expected of him without having to feel guilty if he wanted to spend some time away from the business as well. So I'm really excited about that too. That's another project that's in the works to really expand our group, our local practice group. We changed the name of our group probably about a year ago now, to not have specifically a name that refers to family law. We now the Ithaca Area Collaborative Law Professionals, and we now have mental health and financial professionals as full members of the group. So we've laid all the groundwork to become more multidisciplinary, not only between professions, but also in different areas of law. So future projects include to really build the civil practice aspect of our own practice group in the Ithaca area, and then to continue presenting training and building bridges between different communities so that collaborative practice is available in a much broader population, but also geographically in a much bigger part of the world.